Hey ho, and welcome to today's show. We have another gang expert today. Yeah, that will be really interesting. Another retired gang expert. This is gang expert number 3 out of 5 or 6 or whatever's. Yeah, what else can I say? I will do my very best to entertain. I promise I will do my very best to entertain. No, just kidding. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the show. Yeah, we start off with yesterday afternoon recap, and then we will catch up. Why? Well, because George's goal today is to start at 10 a.m. Yeah, as that will ever happen. No. Hello, Reformed. Hello, T42. And it's Trinton. And hello over at Rumble. And hello you over at the Twitters. Or X. Yeah, I will not drag this on. Let's get on with it.
Coming next. Then I have a motion still on exhibits that have not been fulfilled. And I'm also objecting to being qualified as an expert just to rehash what Detective Belknap testified to and Detective Gaither, testified to. So I just want to alert you.
Okay. Yes.
Your Honor, so at this point, the purpose for Detective Dennis's testimony, we will obviously get into his background, but we will not be, he will be a fact witness at this time.
Okay, only a fact witness. I haven't watched much of yesterday afternoon. I assume they were going to do the same with both expert and fact witness, which, in my opinion, when they did that with Gaither, that was just horrible. Well,
Okay. All right. What about the exhibits that?
We won't be using the ones that he has objections to.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay.
Well, that satisfies that inquiry for the time being. Sorry to let you down. We'll deal with it when they come up, sir. Mr. Short. Okay. All right.
Your Honor, I've spoke to Ms. Love, and she indicated to me that the video of my client that was the subject of litigation, the game video in the car.
Sure.
Okay. It won't be coming in today. I would like to be heard regarding possible limiting instructions and the like before it gets to the point of that being admitted into evidence over my objection, of course. But I was told that wasn't happening today. I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Okay. So you're following still with the same objections you have to that particular video, but now you'd like to ask me about some limiting instructions on that?
Yes, if it's going to be admitted, which Your Honor seemed to indicate it would, my understanding is the basis is to show association, and I would ask if that's the purpose of the video, to show association, that a limiting instruction be given to the jury that they should consider the video only as regards to association of my client, Mr. Stillwell, with other individuals in the video, as opposed to, because as I've been clear, there's great prejudice in the video, and there's great bad character evidence, and there's propensity evidence. So,
Okay, we talked about that already, but I think that the state's offering it for a number of purposes, not just to show
Right.
association, but they've got a few other things. So it might be better for me to deal with that as a jury charge, but because it does come in for a couple other reasons. Okay.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Love, you ready, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Sergeant Ingram, summon our jurors, please.
All right. Seems like the gang expert will not be a gang expert, but I assume they will treat him like that anyway.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Trying to pull double D, just want to make sure.
Not the judge, and I'm asking you, not when it just came up, please.
Skipping ahead.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, State, call your next witness, please.
State calls retired Detective Tyrone Dennis.
All right, summon Detective Dennis, please. All right, Detective Dennis, good afternoon, sir. Sir, if you would please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you'd be so kind to turn and face Sergeant Ingram, sworn as a witness.
That's a weird echo.
I do. That's it. State and spell your first and last name for the court. My name is Tyrone Dennis, Tyrone, last name Dennis, Dennis.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Would you please tell the jury that if I'm not speaking loudly enough, if someone let me know. Would you please tell the jury where it is that you're currently working?
I currently work as the Director of School Safety for Rockwood School District back in St. Louis, Missouri.
How long have you worked there?
4 years.
And what are your responsibilities include as directors?
Okay, so he has been retired from the police force for 4 years. I assume he's going to talk about the bus shooting, and in my opinion, gang expert, that kind of is lost within a year of retirement. Remember former Detective Gaither? Yeah, whatever her name was. She left the gang unit in 2017, and then she left the force in 2020. And she was still admitted as an expert. Yeah.
Rockwood, I supervise 32 schools, supervise 17 police officers, report directly to the superintendent of the school district.
Now, are you certified as a law enforcement officer in the state of Missouri?
I am.
And what is it that you have to do to become certified as a law enforcement officer in the state of Missouri?
I have to go through post training, so to keep my Missouri post.
And is the post training required for Missouri the same as a Peace Officer Standards and Training Council required for law enforcement officers in Georgia?
Yes.
Do you work in any extra law enforcement capacity within the community?
I do. I have a nonprofit by the name of Clippers and Cops. I've been volunteering and mentoring for 20 years. I've been doing Clippers and Cops since March of 2018.
Would you tell the jury what Clippers and Cops is? Background.
Oh, objection, she said.
This is bolstering. Oh, look at this good guy. He makes a difference in society. Really? Are you sure? Are you sure? I mean, I admire if he does all that. He's a super. He is the boss of school cops. Then he has a non-profit, and then he does other things. Yeah, okay. How's your family? I mean, that amount of hours. How's the family? And looking at the state of Atlanta, yeah, not doing so swell.
Please tell the jury what it is.
I created Clippers and Cops in order to create empathy between law enforcement and the community. When I would go get my hair cut, we would have some of the best conversations. And so I decided to grab not only law enforcement, but people from the community. And we basically meet once a month, every third Thursday of the month since 2018. And we basically have open dialogue conversations between the community and law enforcement.
When you say between the community and law enforcement, where all do you all have these open communications?
Each month we pick a barbershop. When we first started, we couldn't find any barbershops. And then now we have to do a lottery to pick a barbershop because everybody wants us to come.
Is it only in the state of Missouri?
No, it started here in Atlanta. And when I moved back, I started doing it back in St. Louis as well.
Before working in your current capacity, where did you work?
I worked for the City of Atlanta Police Department.
And what was your last position at the City of Atlanta Police Department?
I was a gang detective as well as a ATF task force officer.
When did you first start working with the City of Atlanta?
He looks like someone. Oh, it's Steve Urkel. Folks, it's Steve Urkel. Did I do that? Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Urkel became a cop.
September 7th, 2004.
What was your first job there?
I was a recruit for 4 months. I went to the academy in December, graduated April of 2005. My first assignment was Zone 5 downtown. My assignment was the Boulevard, Old Fourth Ward area.
And when you say your assignment was the Zone 5 Boulevard, Old Fourth Ward area, what was your official title?
I was a patrol officer.
And what did you do as a patrol officer?
Answer 911 calls.
How long did you keep that position with APD?
6.5 years.
After 6.5 years, where did you start working within APD?
I went to Apex for 6 weeks. I then made detective and was assigned to the Zone 6 Criminal Investigations Division for about 1.5 years.
Tell the jury what Apex is.
Apex was the new unit they created after disbanding of Red Dog. And I went over as in an investigative capacity.
And what types of crimes did you participate in investigating with Apex?
Everything from it was a violent crimes unit, so everything from murder down.
Now, you said you then were assigned as a CID detective, Criminal
Correct.
Investigations Division?
Yes,
All right. And you worked there for how long?
about 1.5 years.
What were your responsibilities as a criminal investigations detective?
General crimes, everything from robberies, carjackings, fraud, you name it.
Now, you said that you were also, did you say that you were also post-certified in Georgia while you worked as a law enforcement officer?
The entire time.
What did you have to do to be post-certified in Georgia?
Every year we had to take the required hours at the police academy or training classes that they told us we had to take.
What type of training classes did you take to maintain your post-certification?
We had to qualify with our service weapon. We had to go to in-service.
Slow down for me just a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Go ahead.
We had to qualify with our weapon each year. We had to take mandates, updates. If we got any type of updated training, that's when we would do it during in-service.
What would happen if you had lost your certification, your post-certification during your time as a police officer?
I would have either A, been put on the desk or B, fired.
Did you ever lose your post-certification?
No.
After you worked as a criminal investigations division detective for 1.5 years, where did you go within APD?
I got sent to the gang unit.
What year did you get sent to the gang unit?
I think that was May of 2013 or something.
Before May of 2013.
Yeah, we
would you
already
tell the
know
jury what, if any, experience you
why
had
people
investigating
getting
criminal
sent to the
street
gang units.
I had
Don't
no
we?
experience investigating criminal street gangs.
How was it that you ended up in the gang unit without experience investigating criminal street gangs?
I was voluntold to go.
All right.
He was told to go. Okay. Another department jumper who, all right, let's throw him in the gang unit. And apparently he did good enough, so now he's boss of several school cops. Okay. Good on you. Did you make a difference?
Are you originally from Georgia?
No, I'm born and raised in St. Louis.
What part of St. Louis?
I grew up in the Fountain Park, Hodemont Tracks neighborhood.
Now I need you to,
Fountain Park, Hodemont Tracks.
now I need you to spell that for our Madam Clerk.
Fountain, Fountain, Park, Park.
The other part.
Hodemont, Hodimont, Tracks, Tracks.
Now, did you spend all of your formative years in that area?
Yes,
Did you go to high school there?
yes.
When did you leave?
When I left for college,
And Hodemont Park,
Hodemont Tracks.
Hodemont Tracks, please forgive me. Were there any gangs that you were aware of while you were coming up in Hodemont Tracks?
Oral, sir.
It's probably one of the worst areas in St. Louis. I grew up around gangs, dope, and guns.
Now, did you personally know any persons who were members of gangs in St. Louis?
Oh, yes.
Oral, sir.
And
This was the proffer. Exact same questions how they did the Daubert hearing with Gauntlet, Gautier. So they do it exactly the same, but they claim, oh, he's only a fact witness. Jesus Christ.
Were they all, were they enemies, friends, family, or some combination?
Where I grew up, I played sports, and I had to know the lay of the land. Some of the people I grew up with, some of my family members, gangs was a part of the culture.
And did you ever become involved in gangs?
I did not.
How did you avoid it?
Sports. Basically, my family, my older siblings wouldn't allow me to get involved in that.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, I'll sustain that objection.
Now, when you left Hawaii class, where did you go?
I went to Lakeland College in Mattoon, Illinois.
And when you went there, did you have a particular major already picked out in mind?
I majored in criminal justice
Why did you major in criminal justice?
because I grew up around crime. I was kind of fluent.
Okay. What did you want to do with the criminal justice degree?
I want to go into the FBI.
Did you graduate?
I did.
And what degree did you receive?
I got an associate's in criminal justice,
After graduation, what year did you graduate? First?
99.
Okay. I mean, that is the kind of education that gets you into good law enforcement. Why Atlanta? And why a regular cop?
And after graduation, what did you do?
I transferred to the University of North Alabama, where I double majored in criminal justice and sociology.
Did you graduate from North Alabama?
May of 2002.
And what degrees did you receive?
A bachelor's of science in criminal justice and sociology.
What was your first job out of college?
I went to play professional basketball in Columbia, South America,
And how long did you do that?
off and on for 2 years.
And what did you do after you finished playing professional basketball?
I joined the Atlanta Police Department.
Did you know anyone in Atlanta?
I did not. Well, my roommate.
So those, I mean, that's quite a decent degree in uni. Quite decent. Why Atlanta? Why just a regular cop? Yeah, and it's Trenton says, is this different witness than the one Ms. Love just said would be only a fact witness? No, he is supposed to be only a fact witness, but it's this exact same type of questions she asked of Ms. Gautier when she was proffered as an expert. This is strange.
From college.
So what brought you to the Atlanta Police Department?
I went to a recruiting fair in downtown St. Louis in May of 2002 before I went to play ball.
Did you know what position you wanted to hold with the Atlanta Police Department when you first joined?
Not really.
What type of training? You said in-service training. What is that?
In service is basically each year we have different mandates that we got to go through as police officers to maintain our certification. Whatever, like for example, if there's an update on, say, tasers or pepper spray, we might go through that training doing in-service training.
Up until, from the time you joined APD up until 2013, had any of your training included training on criminal street gangs in Georgia?
No.
And up until that time, were you at all familiar with any criminal street gangs in Georgia?
Oh, yes.
How?
My beat and my assignment, like I said, was Boulevard, 4th Ward. And being from St. Louis and being familiar with gangs, I started seeing graffiti and different things that I knew familiar from back home. And so I started taking interest in it. It started making work make sense.
What do you mean when you say making work make sense?
To me, different incidents weren't just different incidents. And
I mean, seriously, this is a Daubert. This is the prosecution doing a Daubert hearing without doing a Daubert hearing.
and they had different meaning, or if someone said something, I knew that to be gang related in some way.
Let me ask you this. How much interaction did you have with community members one-on-one before 2013 in Atlanta?
Every day.
And was this only when you were arresting or investigating someone for a crime?
No, I got to know pretty much everybody on my beat, from the homeless person to the store owner to the elderly lady to the guy selling dope on the corner. I knew everybody.
How were you able to get to know these people?
because I interacted and we saw each other every day. I worked 7 to 3. I basically talked to them, they talked to me.
Were there people who became what we would call confidential informants within the zones that you worked over the time that you were with the Atlanta Police Department?
What you mean?
I mean, did you ever have people who would give you information
Just-
and wish to remain anonymous?
Everybody gave information.
All right.
The streets will talk. You just got to know how to listen to it.
Now, when you said 7 to 3, was that 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. or 7 p.m. to 3 a.m.?
7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Day shift.
At some point, did you seek formal training in the area of criminal street gangs in Georgia?
I started taking gang training once I joined the gang unit.
When you joined the gang unit, were you partnered with anyone or did you work or investigate your cases by yourself?
And initially, when I first got to the unit, I was upset. I wanted to go to homicide, and they sent me to gangs. And once I got to gangs, Detective Lakia Gaither, she sat right in front of me, and we had a lot in common. So we pretty much became.
Jesus Christ, this person with the bachelor's in criminal justice was sat with Gautier. Seriously? How did he? I mean, she's a moron. An actual moron, in my opinion. And he finds out they have a lot of so it's basically the same person as witness. It's the same person. They were asked the exact same questions.
And partners.
When you say you all became partners, how did you receive the cases that you investigated in the gang? You assigned two to a case or what?
It depends. If someone was more familiar with an incident or a situation, they would take it, or the supervisor, or even the chief would come by and tell us to take the case.
So in 2013, what month did you say it was that you joined?
May.
So in May of 2013, how did you begin your time with the gang unit? What did you do to acclimate yourself to that unit?
I had to learn how. I was used to being a general investigator. As a gang detective, we wore regular clothes. As a general investigator, I wore a suit and tie. I had to learn everything that they did as gang detectives because it was somewhat different. But by me having experience in investigations, it actually helped.
Is a suit and tie not what you would call regular clothes?
No, that's more formal. We wore jeans. We pretty much could wear whatever we want. We wore Jordans, t-shirts, truly, whatever we want.
Okay.
So it's the dump. It's where people who are useless everywhere else get to the gang unit. Well, he did great. I mean, he's now in charge of a bunch of school cops.
And was that any particular reason that you all chose to wear that type of a tie versus suit and tie?
It's less intrusive. When you come with a suit and tie, most people think you're homicide, and they think that it's a little more serious. For us, we wore regular clothes. We could blend in, and we could move a little different.
And what type of training did you seek to obtain when you first joined the gang?
Every gang training that they offered, we pretty much tried to take it.
Tell the jury about some.
Gang training is a superior cop telling them this is gangs. It's a 40-hour course, they claim. I've yet to see any paperwork about what this so-called training actually is.
On that training.
Gang awareness, intro to gangs. I pretty much took whatever got off the top of my head. It's on my CV, I guess.
Okay. Did you take more than 40 hours of formal gang training?
Yes.
Did you attend sessions with other law enforcement agencies outside of the city of Atlanta?
Yes, we would have monthly meetings with other police departments, and we would information share. Sometimes we would help other jurisdictions more than they would help us because we were more familiar with more of the information than they were.
During your time with the Atlanta Police Department, did you become familiar with a group calling itself Young Slime Life or YSL?
Yes,
Do you recall when it was that you first learned about the group's existence?
probably as soon as I got there, I started hearing rumblings of it.
Was that when you say as soon as I got there?
To the gang unit.
All right. Before getting to the gang unit in May 2013, had you interacted or met any person who
Remember, he's there as a fact witness about the bus shooting. So far, she's profiling him as a gang expert. It's the exact same questions as with Gautier and Belknap. Exactly the same questions.
Or claim YSL?
No.
Now, while you were working with the Atlanta Police Department, did you ever hold what is called in law enforcement an extra job?
Since the day I walked in the door, that's how we pretty much made our living.
Why do you say that?
Because my base salary was piss poor, and that's how we pretty much survived, working extra jobs.
Did you have to get permission to?
He has a bachelor's in criminal justice and sociology, and the only job he can get is a low-paid cop job. He joined for, 10-year veteran, and he was still low salary. I mean, apparently, and that's the gang unit. Anybody who really can't do jack crap, let's send them to the gang unit. They make less damage. They do less damage.
Working extra?
You had to get a city-approved extra job form signed by your supervisor. You had to pull out on your radio whenever you worked the extra job to let them know where you were and the time that you were going to work.
In these extra jobs, did you wear a uniform or did you dress in regular clothes like a true religion?
Yes, most extra jobs we wear uniforms, but you can secure extra jobs where you wear regular, but you have to get special permission.
In 2015, April 25th, 2015, what position were you holding in the Atlanta Police Department?
I was a gang detective.
And on that date in 2015, did you have occasion that Saturday to be working any extra jobs?
I was working at Club Compound. I think I worked there for almost 10 years.
Was that 10 years prior to 2015 or 10 years starting from a particular date?
Probably since I came on, I worked at Club Compound.
So
that's 10 years prior, leading up to that date.
how often did you work at Club Compound?
Pretty much every Saturday night.
And would you describe for the jury the type of events that you worked at Club Compound?
Club Compound is a big event space, and probably some of the biggest hip hop artists acts. If they come to the city, usually they're gonna go to Club Compound.
Was it always hip hop artists and acts that you were working at Club Compound?
No, I worked whenever they needed us.
What were your responsibilities at your extra job at Compound?
To keep the peace, pull traffic, and make sure the night go pretty smooth.
On April the 25th, 2015, were you working in uniform?
Yes.
And by that date, had you investigated in any way YSL or people who were claiming affiliation with YSL or Young Slimelight?
Yes, I think we were about 5 months into an investigation.
Now, when you say that you pull traffic, what do you mean?
At the club, there's hundreds of people, and Compound is like a tourist attraction, so you got people coming from all over. It's just a lot going on, and so the club owner would hire 10 to 15 officers to try to make sure everything went smooth. We would be positioned in different positions throughout the area to help pull traffic. We would have some officers in front of the club to try to keep the peace and keep people moving along, and just trying to make everything go smooth.
Were the officers that worked alongside you during your extra job at Compound also Atlanta police officers, or were they from other jurisdictions?
They were Atlanta police.
And do you know approximately how many of you were assigned on any given night to work?
On a night, like the night in question, it was about 15 of us.
And where was it that you all were positioned around Club Compound?
You might have had officers all the way from Howell Mill and Brady coming all the way south up Brady, all the way to Marietta almost.
Now, I'm going to show you some exhibits, some that have been previously admitted and some that are now marked. We'll start with State's Exhibit 109. Heat, echo. And kind of show you State's Exhibit 109 Echo, what's been previously admitted as 3 Echo. What has been previously admitted as 4 Echo, 5 Echo, 6 Echo, 22 Echo, and 20 Echo. We'll start with State's Exhibit 109 Echo. Would you look at the area depicted in State's Exhibit without? State's Exhibit 109 Echo. Do you recognize that area depicted in State's Exhibit 109 Echo?
Yes.
And is this a fair and accurate representation? And Your Honor, State's Exhibit 109 Echo is for demonstrative purposes. Is this a fair and accurate representation of the way that this area looks around the time that you are describing working that extra job at Compound?
Yes.
April 25th?
Yes.
And is this a accurate Google image depiction of that area?
Yes.
Your Honor, for demonstrative purposes, the state tender State's Exhibit 109 Echo.
Gentlemen, lady, any objections to State's 109 Echo? All right. State's 109 Echo is admitted. You may publish as you see fit.
Thank you, Your Honor. We'll go next to what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 3 Echo. Do you recognize the area depicted in State's Exhibit 3 Echo?
Yes.
And is State's Exhibit 3 Echo an accurate Google image of the way that the area depicted in 3 Echo looked on April 25th, 2015?
Yes.
Do you recognize the area depicted in State's Exhibit 4 Echo?
Yes.
Is this an accurate depiction of the area surrounding Club Compound that you worked on April 25th, 2015?
Yes.
Your Honor, State's 3 Echo, 4 Echo, and 5 Echo have all been admitted previously for demonstrative purposes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize State's Exhibit 5 Echo?
Yes.
How do you recognize State's Exhibit 5 Echo?
What do you mean when you say how?
I mean, is it an accurate, have you seen this area?
Yes, this is looking southbound on Brady going towards Marietta Street.
These are quite simple questions, and this guy doesn't get it. Okay, I'm starting to understand why they threw him into the gang unit.
And is this an accurate Google image of the area that you were working at Club Compound on April 25th, 2015?
Yes.
Looking at State's Exhibit 6 Echo, the demonstrative that has already been admitted. Do you recognize that area as well?
Yes.
Does that area accurately reflect where you were working on April 25th, 2015?
Yes.
Looking at State's Exhibit 22 Echo, do you recognize the area depicted in State's Exhibit 22 Echo?
Yes, other than the bike lanes and all that, that wasn't there.
All right. Does the area depicting Club Compound accurately reflect the way that you recall it looking?
Yes.
On April 2015? And looking at State's 20 Echo, does that area accurately?
Yeah, I'm going to
reflect
speed
the way
up
you recall Club
to
Compound
1.5. Let me know if it's too fast.
Yes.
And again, Ron, with the exception of 109 Echo, the others have all been admitted previously. Your Honor, I'm not publishing State's Exhibit 109 Echo.
Well, that's because you approach this for a moment.
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at that. That brings us to sidebar counter 161. Now, there's a discussion in the chat about why allowing cop uniforms at a side gig. Well, I think the baseline is that the city of Atlanta does not want to pay their law enforcement good money, apparently. At least not this person and the other gang experts. So it's a if you don't pay people enough, the most qualified will not work there. So they are quite happy with having subpar cops. This guy managed to get a bachelor's in criminal justice and sociology. Yeah, this is weird, and I don't like weird when it comes to trials. Say what now? Hold on. I need to see that again. I will do this. Okay. Hold on while I get the F away from Law and Seaward then. Let's see here. 611. All right. I'm going to share. Since Law and Seaward says, don't stream this, okay. Then off you fork. Let's go to 11 Alive.
Specific names to keep out other than black.
Just Young Thugs people.
Okay. At the time, did you know who Young Thug was?
Objection.
Basis.
I would like to approach that motion.
All right.
Oh. And that was okay. They are using a different pool, it seems, than Law and Seaward. So, okay. Let's use this one.
April the 20th. Retired Detective Dennis, on April the 25th of 2015, had you heard of Young Thug?
Yes,
All right. Did you recognize him on sight? Would you recognize him by sight?
yes,
Had you heard of his music?
yes,
Had you listened to his music?
yes,
Had you ever met him personally?
no,
At some point during the night, did you see any persons who fit the description of those people you were told to keep out?
yes.
Do you remember around what time it was?
Late in the evening, 1:32.
Do you remember what time the club closed?
Club closed at about 3.
around 1:30 or 2, could you tell the jury what the crowd had become like around the area of the compound? Was it still as thick as it was when it first opened?
It's thicker. So now you got the people that are in, the ones that are coming out. You have the people that couldn't get in, and you have some that just are trying to hang out.
When was it that you first noticed in terms of what it was that was happening? People that caused you to be on alert?
Well, I'm always on alert as a police officer, but with the background into everything that was going on, and while pulling traffic, a vehicle pulled up. And when the vehicle pulled up, anytime I deal with guys that I know from work, I call them by their government name. And so I called to them by their government name.
Do you remember what kind of vehicle it was that pulled up?
Not off the top.
Do you remember who it was that you saw and recognized and called by their, as you put it, government name?
Demekion Garlington and Shannon Stillwell.
And do you recognize either of those persons as being in the courtroom today?
I think Shannon Stillwell is Shannon Stillwell Jackson or whatever.
Where is Shannon Stillwell located in the courtroom? What is he wearing by Martin?
What is that, a gray sweater vest or something with dreads with glasses?
And who is he seated next to on either side of him?
Mr. Sharp and the blonde haired gentleman next to him.
Mr. Boston, you have blonde hair.
Hey, what? No disrespect, sir. I ain't trying to disrespect the hair. My bad. What I thought.
Okay. He was happy.
Sorry.
Would the record reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Stillwell?
You mean Mr. Watts?
No.
Yes, it will reflect that, he is identified.
What color is his hair? Oh,
Thank you.
my bad. That's a compliment. That's great.
So, Ms. Boston, when you, before I go any further, were Mr. Garlington and Mr. Stillwell the only two people in the car that you saw?
No,
Do you know who else was in the car with them?
the driver was Trontavia Stevens, or AKA Lil T.
Did you know Trontavia Stevens before that night?
I knew his face, never met him.
Do you recall whether they were the only car that you needed to pay attention to at the time that you noticed them? Was that the only car?
No, it was a entourage of cars. It was several cars.
And how do you know, how are you able to make that determination? It's an entourage of cars as opposed to just individual cars?
Because it seemed as if they were all following each other.
I stand objections to that.
Better yet, describe how the cars were traveling.
They were all traveling southbound on Brady. If you go to Exhibit 5E,
All right, we're on Bobby.
this is southbound. This is going southbound on Brady. They were all coming this direction, and it was just lines of cars. They were all together.
Now, have you described?
And that is in contrary to the other security guard there, who said, no, there was no cars following each other around.
Earlier that many patrons were trying to park and were coming along Brady Avenue?
So traffic is going in both directions. You have hundreds of people on both sides of the streets. You got people standing around. It's just a lot of people, a lot going on.
And so what about this particular set of cars caused you to describe it as an entourage?
Hold on, sir.
You may answer, please. What caused you to describe
The
it?
valet actually mentioned it. He's like, hey,
Without talking about the valet or what someone else said, based on your own observations.
once I saw the
No, he already said he didn't notice it. Somebody else told him. That's hearsay. This is not by his own observations.
individuals that I knew, I began looking in every car that was coming. I'm standing right there.
Okay, how far were you from the car?
I'm right on the yellow line, pretty much. We try to stand in the middle so we don't get hit.
So If I walk towards you, tell me to stop when I get as close as you were.
About right there.
So how many feet would you call this from you?
2, 3.
Were the car windows that you saw containing people that you knew up or down?
They would have to let the window down in order for the valet to tell them what the price is, or if they wanted to park or not.
And was it then that you were able to see inside, or were you able to look inside before you left?
When they let the window down, I can look directly into the car.
What, if anything, did you say to Mr. Stillwell when you saw him, Mr. Wallington, and Mr. Chief?
I said, Mr. Demekion Garlington and Shannon Steele, how are you? And Lil Tick said, how the hell 12 know your name?
Now, when you speak to 12, what are you talking about?
That's slang for police.
Hold on, sir.
And did you say anything else?
I did not.
What happened after you called their names?
They just looked. They didn't really say anything.
Did you give any instructions?
Have a good night.
What happened next?
Continued to pull traffic throughout the evening. Stood in the middle of the street pulling traffic.
Did you, at any point, attempt to turn the cars themselves around as they drove along Brayton?
No,
Why not?
that wasn't the assignment. If we would have did that, we would have messed up the traffic's already bumper to bumper. If we would have did anything like that, we would have made it even worse.
How many other vehicles did you see containing people that you recognized?
I didn't necessarily see any that I recognized.
You didn't see any people that you recognized or vehicles that you recognized?
The vehicles that they were driving at that point, I'm walking down.
Okay.
So I'm not really, it's not like every car is pulling up and I'm looking in and trying to see who it is.
At any point, did you see another person? Did you ever see a person that you knew as Pee-wee?
Yes.
At what point did you see the person you knew as Pee-wee?
While still working traffic on my post, I was familiar with them.
Do you know how long after it was that you saw Mr. Stillwell and Mr. Garland that you saw a person you knew as Pee-wee?
Close proximity in time. I wasn't, like I said, there was a lot going on. It's not like I was really keeping track of time or something.
And I'm not gonna hold you to specifics, but when you say close proximity, are you talking an hour, a minute?
5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe.
I'm gonna show you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit number 32, Echo. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 32, Echo, the person depicted inside?
Yes.
And who do you recognize 32, Echo to be?
Jimmy Winfrey. At the time, I knew him as Roscoe or Pee-wee.
I'm gonna advance to 32, Echo. Could you take the markings off the screen? Is the person we're looking at the person that you recognize that night, Steve?
Yes. Yes.
Do you recall what kind of vehicle Mr. Winfrey was in that night?
Later that night, I saw him he was in a white Camaro.
Now,
Isn't that convenient? He drives around in a blue car, but all of a sudden, no, white Camaro. Scout's honor, white Camaro. I promise I saw him in a white Camaro. Bullshit. That's too convenient.
Camaros, are you familiar with those cars?
No cars a little bit.
All right. Do you know what particular model of Camaro he was in?
Not at that time. Later on, I learned what model.
Did you?
Later, you learned it. What kind of Camaro you were supposed to identify him in? Did somebody tell you that a Camaro showed up the bus and all of a sudden, oh, I just remembered I saw Pee-wee in a white Camaro. This is, I mean, he might be telling the truth. I don't know. But since most, if not all, no, I will say most, there's been a couple of good cops in this trial, but most are liars. I mean, we already know about Detective Velasquez, who destroys evidence. He admitted to it on the stand that he actively destroys evidence. When he takes a statement from a witness and he doesn't like it, he erases it until they say something he likes. Then he keeps that recording. That is vile. So that is how I judge the rest of them. I'm going to have a swell time in Atlanta when I get there in August.
See anyone else later on that you recognize that night?
Yes.
Who?
Walter Murphy.
Now, how did you come to see Mr. Murphy?
So as the night is progressing, while on post, another officer basically asked us to come down by where the tour buses was parked at. As we got down there, I seen a green Explorer parked. If you go to
But what's going on here?
you don't have to.
Seriously, is the prosecution asking questions and going, okay, this piece of evidence? Him just, oh, let me find something here. What's going on here?
Picture, but if you look at Exhibit 5E, or if you can pull that up,
Okay, 5E.
my marker. No.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Okay, 5E.
Down here, that's where the buses were down, kind of there, and then there was a green Explorer parked on the street. Another officer basically said, "Hey, can y'all come down by the buses? Something about to happen." And so as we come down there, I see an individual take a gun out and put it on the tire of the green Explorer. Once he took the gun out, I basically took another individual and pushed him into him and grabbed the gun and pulled my service weapon. Upon pulling my service weapon, a female that was standing there said, "Why is this officer pulling his gun on?" And I held the gun up and I was like, "Y'all need to get on." And everybody started scattering. The individual that put the gun on the tire, I didn't know him at that time. That was later to be determined to be Walter Murphy. When he literally took off running from us. And when he took off running, we start, just a picture is chaos. And so we're trying to pull traffic. We're trying to get everybody away and we're trying to keep from getting hurt ourselves. As I'm standing there trying to help pull people and push where they need to go, I see an individual that I recognize by the name of Quindarius Zachary. We call him Sick D. When he walked up, I basically said, "Hey, D, you need to go home." He said, "Man, you don't know me." I said, "The last 4 of your social is this, your date of birth is this, your mom's maiden name is this." He said, "I'm gone." So once he left, I then went back to my post because they needed me to help pull traffic. When I walked back to my post, as I'm pulling traffic, Officer Finney is telling me to stop the white.
I stand objection.
Two things, Your Honor.
You are not allowed to do that. Reiterate in open people's. That is extremely threatening. And you are not acting as a police officer. You are not supposed to convey information. You are only supposed to have as a police officer on the job, not at your side gig. But we're in Georgia. It might be allowed. It might be allowed.
Second, listener has this instruction also. What was Finney telling you to do?
Stop the white Camaro.
And did you attempt to stop the white Camaro?
I did not.
Why not?
Because the car had hit the gas and I wasn't going to get hit.
Was the white Camaro coming towards you or going away from you?
The white Camaro was basically coming northbound on Brady towards Alvin.
Would you draw an arrow showing the direction that the white Camaro was coming? And using the 5E duplicate that you have already marked on, would you please indicate where the green Explorer was?
The green Explorer is the X down the street.
Would you put GE next to it? And would you indicate where the tour buses were generally in relation to the green Explorer? And would you also draw that on the screen in front of you?
It's next to the building though.
Okay. How close were you to Walter Murphy when you saw him put the gun on the wheel of that?
2 people between us.
2 people?
2 people away.
Did you see who was inside the green Explorer, who was driven there?
I saw who was standing outside of the green Explorer.
Who was standing outside the green Explorer?
One of Young Thug's sisters. I don't, either Dora or Dolly. I don't know them apart.
How did you know that it was one of his sisters?
From previous investigation.
Now, I'm going to
That's a really vague answer. Previous investigations.
show you what has been already admitted as State's Exhibit 6, Charlie, State's Exhibit 11. Uniform. State's Exhibit 12, uniform. State's Exhibit 19, uniform. State's Exhibit 5, Charlie. And I'm going to ask you if you recognize the people depicted, and we'll start with State's Exhibit 6, Charlie.
You said, do I recognize them?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. If you would clear the screen off, we're going to go to 6, Charlie. All right. is it that you recognize in State's Exhibit 6, Charlie depicted on the screen right now?
The front person is Antonio Sledge, aka Moontook. The individual behind him is Walter Murphy, aka DK. I don't know.
DK on the screen? My eyes are not great. Please tell Jerry what you just wrote on the screen.
I recognize that as his Young Thug sisters.
Okay, now, when you say sisters, for the record, are you indicating two particular people on this?
Why are you showing Jeffrey Williams' sisters on the screen? They are not a part of this trial.
Exhibit State 6, Charlie.
The one with the hat on, for sure. The second one, resembles or could be.
Okay. Who among these people in 6 Charlie do you recall seeing on April 25th, 2015?
Walter Murphy and the sister with the hat on.
Okay. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 11 uniform. That has already been admitted as evidence. Do you recognize the person depicted in State's 11 uniform?
Yes.
How? Just by name, who are they?
Demikian Garlington and Trontavia Stevens.
All right. If you would clear the screen, I'm going to move to State's Exhibit 11 uniform. Which person do you recognize as, after clear the screen? Demikian Garlington. Would you put a D over that person? And Trontavia Stevens. T. And are those the same two people that you saw in the vehicle with Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Showing you State's Exhibit 12 uniform has already been admitted as evidence. Do you recognize the people depicted in 12 uniform?
Yes.
Who do you recognize as to be?
Antonio Sledge, Shannon Stillwell, and Trontavia Stevens.
Advancing the slides in 12 uniform, you clear the screen and tell the jury who it is that you recognize as each one of those persons. Antonio Sledge, is that what you're writing on the screen?
Yes.
Now, for the record, please describe who you have identified in this photograph.
Antonio Sledge, aka Moontook, and then Shannon Stillwell Jackson, and then Trontavia Stevens, aka Tick.
And from left to right.
We already seen this picture.
Sledge is the one with the dark hoodie on. Shannon is the one in the middle. Tick is the one in the red hoodie.
Showing you State's Exhibit 19 uniform. That has already been admitted.
This is just
Do you recognize
repetitive.
the people depicted in State's Exhibit 19 uniform?
Yes, some of them.
All right. Which people do you recognize in 19 uniform?
Quindarius Zachary, Walter Murphy, and Trontavia Stevens.
Sir, what does this have to do with the actual bus shooting?
As we look at 19 uniform, hold on.
Already, this has already been testified to. This is cumulative.
Would you describe where the people that you recognize are inside this photograph by an article of clothing and by writing their initial over their name, over their face? Who are you drawing on now?
I put a QZ for Quindarius Zachary and DK for Walter Murphy.
What is Quindarius Zachary wearing in the picture?
A gray hoodie, red pants.
And where is Walter Murphy in relation to Quindarius Zachary?
He's kneeling in front of him.
And where is Trontavia Stevens in relation to Quindarius Zachary?
He's in the middle with the look like a red backpack.
Red backpack?
Yes.
What happened after, at what point rather, was it that you saw and spoke to Mr. Zachary in relation to the time that you saw the person you called Pee Wee? How many minutes after?
Zachary?
Yes.
I saw Pee Wee earlier in the night. At this point, I didn't see Pee Wee.
So approximately how long after you saw Pee Wee was it before you saw Zachary?
I don't, could have been 30 minutes, could have been an hour, I'm not sure.
Was Zachary on foot or inside the car?
I saw him on foot.
Who else did you see on foot?
Walter Murphy.
At some point, did you notice any particular group of people making their way towards the club that you sought to stop?
I saw people congregating on the corner of 11th and Brady, but we didn't necessarily go stop them. I had a specific assignment to pull the traffic.
At the time that you first saw Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Garlington, and Mr. Stevens, do you know whether or not Lil Wayne had come out of the compound?
No clue.
Do you know whether or not his tour buses had left?
And just for information, they did investigate everything, and the only person was who was charged was Pee Wee. They couldn't connect the rest of them to this bus shooting. It's already been handled but here we are. Georgia RICO.
They had not.
Were you paying attention to the point at which Lil Wayne came out of time?
Not at all. Wasn't my assignment.
I'm going to show you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 30 Echo. Do you recognize the area depicted in 30 Echo?
Yes.
How do you recognize that area? What do you recognize that area to be?
That is, I believe, to be 10th Street and Brady. And that's where the valet would take some of the cars and different parking and stuff is going on right there.
How far from that area was for the tour buses when you recognized people walking towards them?
Not far.
When you say not far, what do you mean?
Feet.
Okay.
Skip.
So when you say that the buses were feet away, do you recall exactly where they were parked?
From my recollection, if we can go to one of those other pictures.
Jesus Christ, this is boring. Okay, and they took a break. Let's see what happened after the break.
Detective Dennis was going to. Just wanted to recap. We had just a great conversation in the state, Ms. Love and Mr. Apt, in terms of scheduling, where the court just asked a little bit about what time or what we would go till to today. I indicated that we'll probably stop somewhere around between 5 and 10 after 5, and we'll call it a day for today. So,
Yeah,
And then I
then they
believe
call
the
in
state
the
was
jury and more pictures.
Because the incident, basically, once I got home or that morning, I look at social media like everybody else. I'm looking at TMZ and I see the story about the bus.
Here's the thing. If he actually saw what he claims he saw, again, like we said with the goat here, where's the report? Where did you actually write this down? Or is this missing as well? Spoiler, it's missing. Who knew?
a standing objection.
All right. Did you see media accounts detailing a shooting?
Yes.
It goes.
Hold on, I'm going to sustain Mr. Matthews' objection. Who else had an objection? All right, sustained. You can rephrase.
Why did you write a report?
Because once I was aware of the situation that was going on and the shooting of the bus, I made contact with the supervisor from the Zone 2 precinct where when Sergeant Burris called to check on to see if there was a shooting, I reached out to the supervisor to find out who was it on the city of Atlanta or somewhere else. I was made aware that the incident was not on the city of Atlanta, but they were actually in Cobb County.
Okay. So ordinarily, do you do incident reports related to crimes that occur in Cobb County?
No.
So why is it that you ultimately ended up writing a report on this incident?
Because I knew that Cobb County would not be familiar with everything that was going on. To them, it would just be another random shooting.
Okay. Now, when you say to them, it would be another random shooting. Had you prior to April 25th or 26th of 2015 been working on any other related matters or shootings related to the persons you recognized that night?
Oh, yes.
All right. And was that in your capacity as a detective with gang unit?
Yes. Yes.
Did you, in your report, document that there were 25 to 30 individuals with?
Objection, Your Honor.
Basis.
You're saying out of court statement. You provided my testimony gives that.
Full rule, sir.
It's also in.
I'll stand as the lead, sir.
Did you document in your report seeing a certain number of individuals as it relates to YSL at the compound?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately how many people it was that you documented seeing?
About 20 to 30.
How many?
Isn't that convenient? She blurts out a leading question and then she rephrases and he just has to repeat it.
20 to 30 people that I saw that night.
Okay. And in your report, did you document what you saw them do?
Objection, Your Honor, improper impeachment based on this report? Overruled, sir.
Did you document what you saw those persons doing that were illegal?
Yes, I wrote a police report in reference to what happened tonight.
Okay. And as you sit here today, do you recall what you observed them doing? The group of
Yes.
people? What was it that you observed them doing?
I observed, like I said previous, the car arriving.
I'm a standing objection.
Before seeing the people you recognized, specifically Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Garlington, Mr. Stevens, how would you describe the general atmosphere of the crowd as you observed it?
It was one of the busier nights. You could feel tension in the air.
Was that before, during, or after you observed? Mr. Stevens?
This was probably,
Basis.
Just in the face of the question, she said, when it showed up.
What's the basis of your objection, sir? Overruled, sir.
Object that speculation. I don't know what tension in here is.
I'll sustain as a form. You can rephrase.
What, if anything, did you observe about the crowd as it relates to the demeanor of the crowd before seeing Mr. Stillwell?
Still leading,
it was
leading.
pretty much a typical
Jeez.
night. Like, it's an inner city nightclub. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of people doing a lot of different things. The whole thing for us was, like I do every Saturday night, is try to keep the peace and to make sure everybody have a good time and make sure I go home safe as well.
Did you become more alert after seeing Mr. Stillwell, Mr. Garlington, and Stevens, or did you remain?
Hold on. That was Mr. Sharp. Leading. I'll sustain as a form.
Did your attention span remain the same after you saw Mr. Stillwell, Garlington, and Stevens?
Yes,
And how would you describe your attention to the persons you were directing?
I still did my assignment, but I'm always trying to be observant of what's going on. Like I said before, it's a lot going on. It's an inner city nightclub. Like, things
This
can go from 0 to 100 in a matter of seconds.
cross-examination.
I'm always
I
trying to be
can't-
observant, also trying to pull traffic and keep everything flowing.
The 20 to 30 people that you described seeing, what direction did you see them, if any at all, walk or drive or move towards?
If you go to 5E or the picture,
Yeah, this is boring. We heard it all before. She's helping him on the stand by first asking a leading question and then rephrasing so he can give the answer which he already gave him. So, let's go to today. Now, sadly, 11 Alive does not have subtitles, but we can still hear.
To learn from him. That would fall within that. We already know that. I'm of the opinion, after reading those two cases, inconsistent with what this court would probably authorize, is you are correct that you cannot ask a witness like a detective. Hey, Detective Smith, what did Detective Green tell you? Or what did you learn from him? That would fall within that. However, if our witness here says, did you talk to Green? Without telling us what you talked to Green, what did you do as a result of that? That would be proper, and I would allow that. But I'm going to, it doesn't really kind of, to explain conduct, the two cases that you mentioned, while another officer can't give testimony about what he got from another officer to explain conduct, and in fact, in these two cases,
Here's the thing, Judge. If they rephrase it to after having a discussion with this cop, what did you do as a result of that? Then you're actually telling the jury what was said. That is still hearsay, or should be at least.
Sullivan and Teague Sullivan in particular, the issue was that the investigation was attacked, so the court authorized it, said it was harmless. So I'm not going to let the state do that, and you can certainly object.
No, and I thank you for making that clear. It was just yesterday, and it was right when we broke. but there was a question, maybe two, whatever the record shows, that the prosecutor was announcing, well, this explains the law enforcement officer's conduct, and that, as you know.
Well, as long as he doesn't conduct, he can, I mean, as long as he just doesn't state what somebody else told him to relate to what he did. But he can certainly say, as a result of his interactions with other law enforcement officers or witnesses or the like, what he followed up on. That would not be improper.
So, and I thank you. I'm just reading out of T in Division 1, third paragraph up from the end of it, and it says, it will be seen that only in rare circumstances will the conduct of the investigating officer need to be explained.
But you're cutting it off, Mr. Steele. You're not looking at an overall context, okay? That was one officer who got information from another. He testified what somebody else told him. Yes, and the reason that was, the court said it was rare because it's what he said to that particular detective that the court clarified, and that was told to the jury. So this is a little different. If he says, for example, his investigation was predicated on X, Y, and Z, as long as he doesn't state what that was from another detective, that would be, I think that would not violate that or not be hearsay.
I agree with what you say about hearsay. This is what I'm taking, and then obviously we'll go with what the Salvo Court says over objection if needed. But just to continue reading what I said, if I may, it will be seen that only in rare instances will the conduct of an investigating officer need to be explained. As in practically every case, the motive, intent, or state of mind of such an officer will not be matters concerning which the truth must be found. At the heart, a criminal prosecution is designed to find the truth of what a defendant did, and on occasion of why he did it. It is most unusual that a prosecution will properly concern itself with why an investigating officer did something. That's what I'm asking the court to consider as we go along. I do hear you. I'm not challenging you. I do agree, obviously. Not hearsay should never come in. I agree with that, or confrontation clause, depending upon the statement. But I'm going a little further, I think, than what you're saying, and I heard you say just make the objection as we go. But the fact that I'm just using his name, a former detective, or retired detective Dennis, he says, well, and the state was getting into this, I believe, maybe I'm wrong. Well, I knew that there was a beef between Little Wayne and Jeffrey Williams. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I believe that was important. So I wanted to watch people from YSL, and these are the people from YSL. And what I'm saying is, his belief doesn't matter. The fact that maybe he watched closely and saw Jimmy Winfrey almost got strike him with a car, that's observable. That was my position, and that's why I sent you the cases. And I appreciate the court, as always, taking time to discuss things with us. And
Okay.
Your side of your position. Thank you.
All right, sir. Anything, madam?
Your Honor, just briefly, which was that when an instruction is given and the officer follows an instruction, we're not offering the instruction to explain the officer's conduct as much as for its effect on the listener as a result of the instruction. And I believe that that's the way that we've been doing that. What I heard just now was not a sequential set of events that occurred. We did not, Investigator Dennis didn't testify that there was a beef between YSL and Young Thug. He testified that they were given instructions not to let some people in the club.
I understand. Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. Sergeant Ingram, summon our jurors for us, please. Can we get Detective Dennis to come and rejoin us, please? Can't video him. Okay. All right. If you want to video me, that's fine. I don't care. Or Christina.
Okay. That was interesting. My position is that what did you do as a result of a debate with this officer? And he said, well, I went to that corner and sat down and looked at that. Well, then clearly you were instructed. That should be here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, good morning.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to continue with the presentation of the state's witness. Retired Detective Dennis, good morning, sir. You're still under oath.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I don't have a green light over here. I'm going to utilize the one at the table until we get some batteries in this microphone.
Okay, all right.
All right. Detective Dennis, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. When we left off yesterday, you were talking about, because of your knowledge of certain events that had occurred prior to the night of April 25th into the morning of April 26th, 2015. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And the last question I believe that I asked you was, what events were you investigating in order of the date of occurrence
You want me to start?
that gave you knowledge about, that you shared with Detective Racy during his Cobb County investigation, starting January 2015,
So on January
Where's the
10th,
report?
we
in order that the events occurred.
starting January 5th, there was an incident at Club Crucial, which turned into January 6th.
What events took place on January the 6th that you investigated?
That-
Object, you know, all hearsay.
I'm overrule the objection, not question.
And thank you, Judge. To be clear, Detective Dennis, do not,
If there's an investigation, the report should be there. And apparently, there's no report.
tell anyone what anyone said specifically. Just tell the jury what events you were investigating that occurred January the 6th.
We investigated the shooting. It started with a fight, which led to a shots fired call that we began to investigate.
Where was the location of the shots fired call?
Club Crucial,
And where is Club Crucial, please?
Zone 1, west side of the city.
Is it near 285 and what you see back
Yes,
there?
deleted.
I stand objection.
Could you be more specific?
It's on, what, I think Donnelly Hollowell and 285, I believe.
And is that at 2517 Downey Hollowell?
Yes.
So continue with the events that you were investigating. That's from that day.
I believe January 8th, we had a shooting incident at 988 Confederate.
Can we back up a little bit? You were talking about what you were investigating on January the 6th. Would you tell the jury what you did to investigate events of January the 6th after there was a shooting?
Anytime there's a shooting or anything in the city, our supervisor will either, A, we get a daily report of incidents that happen in the city. The supervisor might say, hey, we had this or we had that. At Club Crucial, we often had incidents Tuesday morning from overnight. And so from our unit, we would start looking into it or looking to see if it's related to anything else that we got going on. And so it was no different with that.
So using the board behind you as a timeline, would you please use this black marker? And if the first 30 ticks or the first 30 days of January and so forth, use that black marker and draw a line up and write the words January 6th on the 6th tick of January. If you could do that with your back, not to the jury, that would be great. All right. Did you? I need you to draw it up and long so I can see from back here.
January 6th?
Yes.
And apparently, yesterday it was okay to show Detective Dennis. Today it isn't. I'm watching Kathy Russell from Law and Crime, and that is what the claim is. That judge said this morning, don't show him on video. He's not on the list of witnesses they are supposed to not have on video. So.
They're big enough, you know, big. Yeah.
All right. You can take your seat. Thank you. Where were the shots fired, did you say? The reports of the shots fired?
Parking lot of Club Crucial, in and around Club Crucial.
What is Club Crucial?
A nightclub in the city.
Do you know, are you familiar with Club Crucial? Were you familiar with Club Crucial prior to January 6, 2015?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury, when you say a nightclub, what days that you were familiar with the club being in operation?
Club Crucial is basically an inner city hood nightclub that guys go to Monday nights. We were familiar with Club Crucial because they have Queen of the Ring Monday nights.
All right, I need you to slow down just a little bit. When you say we, who are you talking about?
Myself and my partner, my unit, Atlanta Police Department.
And when you say Monday nights, what was it that you talked about with Monday nights?
It's called Queen of the Ring.
What is Queen of the Ring?
Queen of the Ring is basically.
Your Honor, I didn't.
Mr. Adams, I'll overrule the objection.
What is Queen of the Ring?
Queen of the Ring is lady boxers. The girls basically put on gloves and box, and usually the guys watch or bet on it or enjoy the festivities of it.
Was N.Starow Smith one of the fighters in Queen of the Ring?
Objection to leading.
I'll sustain the objection to one, please.
Are you familiar with N.Starow Smith?
Yes,
Are you familiar with N.Starow Smith as a result of this investigation that you're talking to the jury about?
yes,
Did N.Starow Smith ever participate in Queen of the Ring?
yes.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
Overrule, sir.
Yeah, lack of personal knowledge.
Overrule, sir.
What role did Club Crucial play in the investigations that you're describing to the jury?
A lot of our incidents began at Club Crucial. A lot of fights, a lot of shootings began at Club Crucial.
Were you investigating in your capacity as a detective with the gang unit any gangs that you felt were affiliated or congregated at Club Crucial?
Yes, the thing about Club Crucial,
But hold- before you go into, so you said yes.
yes,
Which ones?
pretty much every gang in the city. YSL, If Gang, Rolling 60s, Gangster Disciples, Goodfellas.
Now you will explain. You said the thing about Club Crucial.
Club Crucial, just to bring it to perspective, is one of those places where you would think that if we had a problem, we would avoid each other. That Club Crucial is the total opposite. Everybody, it's almost like if you're not there, you're nobody in the city. And so on Monday nights, pretty much most gang members that we had dealings with would go to Club Crucial. Some nights it would be peaceful, some nights it would not. Sometimes it would spill over.
When you talk about some nights it would spill over, what do you mean?
We often had incidents at Club Crucial. Tuesday mornings when we would come to work, we would have shootings at Club Crucial or fights or incident reports from Club Crucial.
When you mentioned YSL and If Gang, were you investigating those at different times or at the same time?
At January 6th, we weren't investigating any of them. We just had an incident.
As a result of further investigations later in 2015,
As we investigated after the January 10th, which was the murder of Donovan Thomas, it led to us to backtrack and look at what led up to and what was coming afterwards.
okay. And so as you look at the days before January the 10th, did you look at January 6th or investigate January 6th with relation to any two particular groups?
Yeah.
Hold on, that was Mr. Sharp and Mr. Adams. I'm both leading. I'll sustain this one.
Did you investigate any of the groups that you named a second ago or anything related to January the 6th?
Yes.
What groups?
Inglewood Family Bloods, If Gang, and YSL.
Are Inglewood Family and If Gang the same thing?
Both of them are blood gangs. At one point, they were all.
This guy was supposed to be only a fact witness. Clearly, he's there as an expert witness. This is just how Prosecutor Love gets around Judge Glanville telling her the experts are getting cumulative. But she's treating him as an expert witness, allowing him to testify about stuff he did in the... Yeah. It's infuriating. But welcome to Georgia and Fulton County, where if you don't get it in one way, you get it another way, as long as you have a judge who is as much part of the prosecution's team as Ms. Love.
Friends.
Was that,
I'm going to object.
Basis.
Outside the of late testimony.
Yeah.
Which is what is proper for
Your Honor,
fact witness.
Your Honor, what I'm doing is talking about specifically matters he investigated.
Overrule, sir.
Now, when you investigated January,
Excuse me a second. Counsel, I can hear you talking back there, so please just do that. All right, go ahead.
when you investigated the groups that you just named for matters that occurred on January the 6th. Did you investigate them acting together?
I'm going to object to Stacey's, number one, outside the campaign, the testimony is not off as an expert. Number two, the investigation is irrelevant under T.
I'm gonna sus-
Yeah.
Wait.
Your Honor, as to the
I'm gonna
first,
sustain one objection. That's you need to lay a little more foundation.
Okay.
This basis.
Okay.
But I'm gonna overrule the other objection as to beyond his testimony as expert.
okay. All right. Before we get deeper into the 6th, what other dates were you, or events were you investigating that you spoke of earlier yesterday, prior to talking with Detective Racy of DeKalb County?
Cobb County.
Cobb County.
January 8th, we had a shooting at 988 Confederate involving an IF gang member. That was his vehicle was shot up.
988 Confederate. Would you draw a longer line to distinguish it
This is ridiculous.
and draw a long line up,
Judge,
longer, January 8th on the timeline?
Judge knows perfectly well that she is using him as an expert witness without being proffered as an expert witness. And he allows it.
And would you stand right there with that same marker? You said you were investigating something. What's the address that you spoke about?
988 Confederate.
Would you write that under January the 8th? And you may take your seat. Thank you. Is 988 Confederate a business or something different?
Apartments, I believe.
Do you know the names of those apartments?
I think that is Thomasville.
Are you, through your investigations into these acts that you're describing, did you ever have occasion to investigate anything at Trestle Tree Apartments?
Well, we had another incident there in October of 2015.
Now, the January the 8th incident, would you tell the jury the victim you were investigating?
The victim was Darren Mills.
All right. And was Darren Mills, as a result of the investigations that you conducted personally, prior to speaking with Detective Racy, was Darren Mills involved with either of the groups that you mentioned?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again as to the informed record here. It's not the witness who testified to it. Any information that he testified to is hearsay in the midst. It comes from someone else. Also, based on provocation clause violation, Your Honor.
I'm gonna sustain the objection as a form. You can rephrase it. Mr. Sharp, did you have an objection?
I agree with these facts.
Okay.
Would Your Honor allow me one moment?
Sure.
Did you ever talk to Darren Mills during this investigation?
Yes.
And do you know in what way he was a victim on January the 8th? How did you investigate him as a victim?
Objection, Your Honor, call for hearsay.
Your Honor, I would.
Overrule, sir.
Confrontation clause.
Overrule, sir.
You may answer the question. In what way were you investigating Darren Mills as a victim? Not what happened, just was he shot, killed?
No,
What happened? How was he investigating?
he was in the area and someone shot up his vehicle.
Your Honor, excuse me.
Your Honor,
Overrule, sir.
on January the 8th, that someone shot up Darren Mills' vehicle.
Correct.
Here's the thing. There's no way this cop can know this information without being told it by somebody else. That's hearsay. But the judge allows it because they're rephrasing. Because apparently in Fulton County, the cops have telepathy. So they don't actually have to say anything. They magically transfer information.
Would you write underneath 988 Confederate Darren Mills or DM dash V as in, what's the V? As in Victor? On January the 8th, did anything happen at Club Crucial before or after that shooting that you investigated?
On January 8th? On January 5th and the 6th was Club Crucial. January 8th was 988 Confederate. And then we also had another incident.
That's the objection.
All right, let me back up. Are you familiar with, as a result of your personal investigations with the gang unit, 675 Metropolitan Parkway?
Yes.
All right. What is 675 Metropolitan Parkway during 2015, January 2015, when you were investigating?
At the time, 675 Metropolitan is a loft space with a bunch of lofts. On one side of the building, you had the Vault recording studio. On the other side, you had the TIG recording studio. We investigated the shooting at the TIG studio on January 8th.
And would you tell the jury what TIG studio is based on your investigation?
TIG Studios is Think as a Game studio, and basically it's where Donovan Thomas, Rich Homie Quan, YFN, or Rayshawn Bennett, YFN Lucci recorded.
All right. Would you write just up under DMSV TIG? In relation to that, I'm going to show you what's already been admitted as State's Exhibit 21. Indigo.
Okay.
India. Yes. 21, India. We're sharing the screen with court information.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize the area depicted in 21 India?
Yes.
What is that?
675 Metropolitan, that's the front of it.
Let's go to 20 India. Is 20 India the address of 21 India?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to 19 India. Is that also the same studio?
Yes.
Go backwards. 18 India. Is that also the same studio?
Yes.
Are you able to indicate based on 18 India, the size that you were just describing, or is it not shown in this photograph?
It's not showing. This is the front. If you come into the structure, you basically got to go up a hill, make a turn, and then that's the front. That's where the manager's office is or something. The actual studios line go all the way back. And so it's probably, it could be 25, 50, I don't know, on each side. And each people have different loft spaces.
And as you're doing things with your hands that the record can't reflect, what is it that you're doing with your hands?
Spaces, can I use that? I don't want to miss
You can flip over to another page and diagram for the jury, as long as you initial it at the bottom, what you're describing as it relates to 675 Metropolitan Parkway.
This is such a waste of time. This is just fluff. This is just fluff in order to bolster a plea deal that came later.
Yes.
And we have sidebar counter 162. I mean, it's apparent to me that the state is using this witness as an expert witness. He's so far out right now from the actual incident by claiming he saw some incident happens then, there, when, whatever's. And we have yet to see an actual report about it. This is a long sidebar. Oh, there we go. Let's see if Miss Love lied to the court again and getting away with it.
Detective, would you please take your place in front of the people? Diagram 675 Metropolitan Studio in the best clear handwriting you can.
So this is the front. These are the lofts. and they go all the way back on both sides.
And when you have on the diagram 675, what is that meant to denote?
That's the front. That's the picture you just showed. That's the front of it. The red brick where the manager's office, that's the front of it. As you drive back, these are the loft spaces that make up both sides of the structure.
And where is the Metropolitan Parkway in relation to the front of the building, if you recall?
This is the street.
Is your two lines?
Huh? And it basically sits right across the street from the Atlanta City Credit Union, which is here.
And so I remember later, please write.
Oh, sorry. Is the audio today especially bad? I switched over to 11 Alive, but this is, they're using the same feed as Law and Seaward. So perhaps it's just bad sound.
Metropolitan Parkway.
I'll put Metro, you want me to spell it out?
Yes. And because some of us are a little sight challenged in the back, could you use this larger marker to draw instead of the one you're using now? Which side was Tickets to Game Studios on?
Not to be exact, but it was something like here.
And what was on the other side?
Not to be exact, the vault.
Okay. Thank you, Sorry Boost, for your $5 super chat. There's corruption. Then when you go beyond, we should call it a Fulton. I actually agree with that, because how that county is run, it's appalling. They're underfunding the jail, so people die in jail. Innocent people die in jail. Now you might say, oh, they are criminals, da 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 da. No, they are awaiting trial and are as such innocent until proven guilty. They are de facto innocent of the charges up until a jury says otherwise. And they are dying in Fulton County Jail because Fulton County management, whatever's the board, don't want to fund it. But they have money for prosecutions, for RICO trials. Lots of money. Lots and lots of money. Money that could have been used better. By, for instance, every day this trial continues. Between 4 and 8 cases could have been brought to trial, or a hearing, or something of the sort, or a new plea deal, or whatever's. 200 trial days. That is 800 to 1,600 cases. That is 800 to 1,600 victims and defendants who are denied their day in court. Thank you, Sorry Boost. Thank you so much for your support of the channel. Hi, Christina.
So it's here,
What is the vault?
a recording studio.
And based on the investigations you conducted, did anyone involved in the
Where's the reports of those investigations? All we hear is him talking. All we hear is him talking. Where's the paperwork?
cases you described, you all investigated prior to your time to detective racing, recorded at the vault?
Yes,
Who?
Young Thug, the YSL guys hung out at the vault, If Gangs hung out at TIG.
Okay. On January the 8th, did any of your investigations include property belonging to DeQuantes Lamar or Rich Homie Quan?
Yes,
And what property of Rich Homie Quan or DeQuantes Lamar?
his vehicle got
So I'm gonna object in so much as it calls for hearsay.
Your Honor, under a sign? 2024 Lexus, 2024 Georgia.
Y'all come on.
Jesus Christ, Judge. You know this is wrong, Judge Glanville. You know this is wrong. And you keep doing it. And another sidebar. That brings us to sidebar counter 163. Jesus Christ, what a cluster F. And it's a long sidebar. Judge, just put a stop to this. It's stupid. It's beyond stupid. The prosecution has been pulling these stunts since before the trial started. Shields, there's no reports again? Apparently not. Not yesterday, not today. So it's just his testimony. Okay, let's see what they say.
I will rule the objection. You may continue, madam.
Of
And
course.
Your Honor, may I ask one real quick, that's your last question that I was asking Detective Dennis, please?
You may. Ms. Weaver?
On January 8th, the end of your investigations included property on the model to the contents or originally farm. Your answer is yes. Question: what property originally farm or did practice Lamar use it? His vehicle got shot.
I'm going to show you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 22 India through 33 India. And ask
And
you.
more photos. Not a
Were
single
these-
report
was
or
the
written
vehicle
statement
taken
in
that
sight.
set of photographs a part of your investigation?
I personally have never seen these photos.
Okay. What property let me take that back. What property of the Quantez Lamar did you investigate getting shot?
We found the cause for search.
She asked, what properties did you investigate? And he answers with we. That means that he wasn't a part of that investigation, but the gang unit, somebody in that gang unit did some kind of investigation, but he didn't.
Service in reference to the incident. And at the time that we found it, we basically were able to establish that the incident happened. We didn't necessarily, the actual incident came in as damage to property.
And what?
Based on that answer, my investigator Dennis, I believe that it changes foundation of ruling in this conspiracy. Not investigator, it does not fall into place.
Yeah, I disagree.
The retroactively.
I'm over the objection, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. After, I'm sorry, so the vehicle that you investigated on January 8th, that shooting of Mr. Lamar's vehicle, where did that occur?
Your Honor, this statement of the testimony said he's not investigating. The statement said that you investigated.
Your Honor, two things. I asked him what vehicle and what property was a part of his investigation. The objection that it misstates.
Overrule, sir.
Would you please tell the jury what location it was that you learned or investigated as being the location where Mr. Lamar's vehicle was shot?
675 Metropolitan.
And through your investigation that you conducted prior to talking to Detective Bracy, did you establish any relationship between Mr. Lamar and either think it's a gang or any other studio at 675 Metropolitan Parkway?
Yes,
Go ahead.
that's the recording studio that he recorded at.
Which,
Sorry, not TIG Studios.
through your investigation, did you learn who the owner of TIG Studios was?
Yes.
Who?
Gervin Fly is his nickname. I don't know his nickname.
Was it Gervin Fly Henry?
Let's stay in the question.
I withdraw. Would you please just state for the record again, who it is that you said?
We knew him as Fly.
And the first name, is it G-I-R-B-I-N?
Yes.
Through your investigation, did you learn of any other persons who recorded at Think It's a Game Studios?
Yes.
Would you give the jury the names of the other people through your investigation you determined recorded at Think It's a Game Studios?
Rayshawn Bender, aka YFN Lucci, also recorded at the studio as well.
And do you know of any other persons besides Young Thug who recorded at the vault?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury the names of those people through your investigation you determined recorded at the vault?
I'm gonna object. Again, it's called for hearsay.
I'll stay in the question. You can rephrase, panel.
Yes, Your Honor.
Again, she asks a question she knows gets objected. So she's giving this witness the answer in her question. Then she rephrases and he just repeats it back. And the judge allows it. I mean, this is so infuriating to watch this absolute scam continue, because it's not a trial, it's a scam. They are scamming Fulton County residents' tax. They are scamming away taxpayers' money and the court's time. Instead of putting real crimes to trial, they are still arguing about this bus incident, which is already solved technically. Pee-wee admitted, he took a plea deal, he sat in prison, it's done. But here we are, listening to a former cop without reports, just saying stuff, and it's allowed.
How many people, other than Young Thug, did you learn through your investigation recorded at the vault?
Your Honor, same objection.
Overruled, sir.
Ask for a continued objection, please.
It's noted, sir.
From our investigation, it was a functioning studio, so several artists recorded at the studio.
Through your investigation, did you ever determine whether anyone affiliated with YSL recorded at 675 at TIG or Think It's a Game?
No.
On the 8th, did you investigate any other acts besides the two that you described, the shooting involving Darren Mills and the shooting involving DeQuantes Lamar or Rich Homie?
No.
Chronologically, what was the next incident that you investigated that you had knowledge of prior to talking to Detective Racing?
January 10th, the murder of Donovan Thomas, aka Peanut.
Prior to January the 10th, did you investigate or look into anything that occurred at Spring Street and Ivan Allen Boulevard?
Yes.
What did you investigate that occurred at that location?
We had found a flyer in reference to an incident of a female that was associated with Mr. Williams. We believed it was his girlfriend at the time. It came up as a shots fired call. We tried to investigate to find out, but we had no reporting victims or anything of that sort.
And was this call one of what you would call a property call or just?
Damage to property. So it didn't have any damage or anything. It just came up as a shots fired. So it was just listed at.
He's referring to a 911 call or cab or anything that's not his investigation will be hearsay and he was objected.
You're under assigned input, Your Honor, you're simply talking about.
Overrule your objection, sir.
Go ahead.
We basically located the shots fired call. We looked into it like we looked in every call that we received,
Did
and
you ever find a victim?
we did not.
Did you ever find a projectile?
We did not.
And did you ever locate the person who made the call?
We did not.
Did you endeavor to do either of those things?
We did all of that.
And
I object to the relevance and that to be stricken based on all of the responses.
Overruled, sir.
After the January the 9th incident, what was the next incident that you all investigated that you had knowledge before talking to Detective Grace?
The murder of Donovan Thomas.
And where, based on your investigation, did that murder take place?
So, okay, so now he's not testifying regarding just the bus shooting. Now it's about the Donovan Thomas. This has been argued already in this trial to Kingdom Come. This is just repetitive. And him, without any written report, backing his words up, just talks and gets the answers fed to him by Miss Love.
330 McDaniel Street, McDaniel and Northside Drive.
Is that in Fulton County?
Yes.
Now, would you on that map draw a line up on a timeline? Draw a line up from January 9th? And would you write just something like Spring and Ivan Allen? Shots. And what was the flyer that you said that you located?
It was for an event that was at the location. It's a hotel right here.
Do you remember what kind of event?
I don't.
Okay. Now, would you draw a line up from the 10th? And write the words Donovan Thomas or DT murder? I'm gonna give you a chance to take a seat for a little bit. Chronologically, what was the next event that you investigated as part of the gang unit? You were aware of prior to talking to Detective Grace?
The night of the 10th rolling into the 11th.
What was the location of the incidents that you investigated the night of the 10th rolling into the 11th?
I believe it was 88 Van Ira and Hendricks, 193 or 198 Hendricks.
They already
And
went
what
through this.
type of incident took place at those locations?
Buildings, houses shot up.
And who, in your investigation, was connected with those locations?
Objection, calls for hearsay.
You're on under quick and Hassan, this is.
Jesus Christ, Judge.
Overrule the objection.
Yeah.
Who in your investigation was connected to these locations, if anyone?
These are family members.
What fucking investigation? Where is the written reports? Where is the actual work done? And he's so well prepared. I bet this. Now, the state argued that this witness, they have multiple witnesses for the rest of the week. I think we are in a new go-tier thing where this guy will be on the stand most of this week, rehashing and inventing shit all along.
Members of Kenneth Copeland.
Would you write on the map, like draw a line down from January 11th, and write shots, 88 Van Ira, 193.
This is why they keep bringing in either dirty cops or retired cops, because they know that the dirty cops will lie, and the retired cops, they don't have any reports which magically disappeared from the precinct. So the defense has more or less no idea what this guy is going to say. It's a scam.
3 Hendricks and KC. You may have a seat. were these locations of Casey's family or people?
Yes.
Okay. And were these locations the targets of the shots that were fired?
To our knowledge, yes.
Also speculation.
Hold on. That was Mr. Adams and Mr. Sharp.
I'll rephrase.
I stand objection.
Did the reports that you investigated originate from the occupants of 88 Van Nuys
Where's the report, Miss Love?
and 193 Hendricks? In other words, you understand that question?
Yes.
Oral, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Chronologically, what was the next event that you investigated?
I believe it was Ruby Harper, 34 or something, Ruby Harper.
Did you investigate an event at 349 Cleveland Avenue on January the 12th, 2015?
I stand, I'm over objection.
Was that one of the events involved in your investigation that you conducted prior to talking to Detective Ray?
Yes.
Who was affiliated or connected with 349 Cleveland Avenue?
That's basically in a YSL territory area.
And is that something that through your investigations you determined as a detective?
I stand objection.
How were you able to determine that or make that statement to the jury?
Based on being a detective and a gang detective.
Basis.
Offering expert testimony.
Oral, sir.
Just said based on-
Oral, sir. Thank you.
What was the incident that you investigated that occurred on January 12th at 349 Cleveland Avenue?
Shots fired.
And who did you investigate as the perpetrator?
I don't recall.
Do you recall who the victims?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Would you draw a line up from January the 12th? And right, 349 Cleveland, shots fired. Now, we're showing you a summary of those events that you investigated prior to talking with Detective Racy. Refresh your memory as to who you investigated as the victim and who you investigated as the assailant in that case?
Yes.
This guy must be the busiest guy in the busiest cop in the United States when he was still a cop. His investigations apparently are citywide, where every piece of everything seems to revolve around him. He is conducting these investigations all by himself. According to the prosecution, this is ridiculous.
He said he doesn't recall.
I'll rule the objection. You may refresh his memory.
Thank you. Now, we're going to label this. (114) Echo sub R.
Yeah, this is going to be another 3-day witness. What a fucking job. I said 4, YouTube's thingy. 4. It's my accent. When I say stuff, it's my Swedish accent. It just makes words sound a bit different. I promise.
And showing to defense what has been labeled as 114 ER previously provided. showing you a copy of that refresher recollection.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to approach the witness with what we have labeled as State's Exhibit 114, Echo sub R,
Romeo,
and not for admission, just for the record.
I understand.
Take a look at 114 Echo R on the page that I turned to without reading out loud. And if you would look at number, where my finger is pointing. Read it. When you finish reading it, look up and tell me if your memory is refreshed as to who you were investigating as a victim.
Yes.
And does it refresh your memory as to who you were investigating as an assailant?
Yes.
All right. First, tell the jury who, without reading, who it was you were investigating as the victim in this particular case.
The victim was Summer Good,
And who did you investigate as the assailant?
Kelvin Watts.
And through your investigation, did you determine any connection between Summer Good and anyone that you saw at the compound the night of April 25th, 2015?
Summer, yes.
And who was the person you determined had connection with Summer Good that you saw at the compound that night?
Quindarius Zachary.
Did you investigate any other? What was the next event that you investigated chronologically that you were aware of prior to talking to Detective Grayson about the shooting from April 26, 2015?
Yes, sir. I tell you what, do you want? I understand on good authority that we need to take a comfort break. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Let's take 15 minutes, okay? Sir, check your dental. Go ahead and
have
take
an
15 minutes.
actual
as well, okay?
hearing.
All right. All rise.
Okay, now this is the interesting part that is coming up now. Now we
seated?
need to pay attention.
All right. Mr. Sharp, what do you wish to tell the court?
Your Honor, I don't know where this is going, but I think that this is definitely something before the state goes down this road that they should have litigated before attempting to.
They should what? I'm sorry, sir.
Litigated outside the presence of the jury before attempting to do this. I am saying right now, I don't know where the state's going with this, but if I hear my client's name, Shannon Stillwell, or any of people that are associated with my client's name being listed as someone that was being investigated or suspected of a crime, I am moving for an immediate mistrial because that would be highly improper. Who's suspected of crimes that are not charged, not convicted, being listed through an investigator is complete violation of 404B, 404A, and is prejudicial and completely improper. We're trying this case through hearsay right now. I'm surprised the state didn't ask Investigator Dennis, well, what happened in the Donovan Thomas case? Just tell us all about what you learned through hearsay, because that's where we're headed. And to just say, who's the victim? Who's the suspect? And who's the perpetrator? Yeah, who's the perpetrator? That's highly improper. And right now, the only perpetrator that's been listed is Kelvin Watts. And I think that was improper. But I'm saying as it goes forward, as soon as a name that's associated with my client or my client's name comes out, I'm moving for an immediate mistrial. And I believe it's very warranted.
Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, and I join in that objection also, and
Well, the Hardy rule's in effect, so what else do you want to add to that, sir?
I want to, the state cited a case earlier, the Hassan case, that I've had a chance to sit and read through, and that is actually instructive to the court. There is a difference in what the court applied in Hassan and what's going on right here.
But Quick is the better case in terms of the court's interpretation of what a detective may testify to. So I have to read both in conjunction. So we'll disagree about our interpretations as to that, but I feel that I've made the correct ruling in respect to that. And you can still object as to foundation, but
And that's my position. And I share the same concern that Mr. Sharp has, which is that they have witnesses that they can call to testify about the individual incidents. If it's relevant, it comes in and those witnesses testify. But they can't simply have Detective Dennis and just by asking the questions in a certain way, saying, what does your investigation show? He can't just keep showing, he can testify to the end result of the investigation, but he can't get around hearsay by simply saying that I know this person was a perpetrator, this person was a victim. All of that comes from hearsay. In the Hassan case, that detective was not allowed. Of course, that detective did not testify about information gleaned from other detectives or information gleaned from the investigation. It was very clear in Hassan as to what was admissible and what was not. And what he is testifying to right now is not admissible. They can't call those witnesses. And they've got 200 witnesses on the witness list. They're trying to get around calling those witnesses by trying this case, as Mr. Shaw said very aptly, by hearsay. And that deprives us of the ability to confront those witnesses. If the detective says, well, this person I determined to be a perpetrator, this person I determined to be a victim, we have no way of confronting that. It's just coming in based on his hearsay testimony.
Oh.
I would be in the same position and ask for the state not be allowed to continue down that road.
Okay, all right, State.
Your Honor, Quick is as the court has pointed out, Quick is the most on-point authority that we have for our questions that we are asking Detective Dennis. We are, as Mr. Adams correctly stated, we are intentionally not asking him who did this, who did that. We simply are asking him, who did he investigate as the perpetrator? Who did you investigate as the victim? And later, when we get into other questions, we will have a proper basis and foundation for his knowledge of these other questions related to incidents that occurred after the April 25th, 2015, April 26th and 25th, 2015 incident involving the shooting of Lil Wayne's bus and how he aided Detective Racy in that investigation. Previously, Detective Dennis was asked questions about why he became involved in a Cobb County incident. Detective Dennis testified aptly that as a result of events that he was already investigating, he was able to do X, Y, and Z. There are certain steps that he took, certain places that he went that involve the incidents that he is simply speaking to the jury about his who, where, and what he investigated, not offering any statements by anyone. We're not arguing this is that, he pled guilty to that, and we're not going to offer any improper hearsay or testimony that might infringe on anyone's rights in this case.
All right, counsels, take your break. We'll see you in a few minutes.
This is ridiculous. It must be obvious for everybody involved that there is no way this retired detective was the center of all these investigations. There is simply no way. Most of it comes from hearsay. It's just she's feeding him the answer in an improper question, and then she rephrases and he repeats it back. It is utterly ridiculous. Let's see. Are they back? No, of course they're not. We are up to live, folks. We are up to live. Yeah, I'm a bit lost for words here because I don't know what else I can say. I mean, clearly he's proffered as an expert because if you go back and listen to the Gautier and Belknap, same exact type of questions to proffer as an expert. Bolstering, I mean, and there will be actual testimony later on about these single events from the people who actually investigated it. This is retired Detective Dennis bolstering. And now that it's repetitive and it's a waste of time, and it should have been thrown out the moment, yesterday. When she started asking questions, that is more or less a Dorbert hearing. Yeah, I don't know what else to say right now. But here's probably what's going to happen. They will come back, and then it's 20 minutes, and then they will go to lunch. It's Trinton says, how the judge is interpreting these cases makes no sense. He's interpreting them in the light most favorable to the prosecution, because he's a part of the prosecution. He wants a conviction. And I said this yesterday. I could almost bet good money that once the state's case in chief is done in, I don't know, January, he will start putting time limits on the defense, because he's that kind of a crooked judge. Yeah. You know what? Let's do this tomorrow instead. And why do I say tomorrow? Because Thursday is a Swedish national holiday, and which means I can stay up longer. I don't have a work day. It is, we call it Pingst. No, it's not. It is, when Jesus Ascendant Day. Is that what it's called on Thursday? Yeah, so let's do that. And I'm going to send you over to, let's see, who does... I'm going to send you over to Sal. He's doing a completely different trial than anybody else, because Karen Reed, everybody else does. Sal covering something else. So I'm going to send you over there. But before, hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And my glasses are crooked. What's going on here? Whatever. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for supporting my channel. Keep doing it. And I will see you all back here tomorrow at around 9:30, 9:45 a.m., 10 a.m., something like that. And we will go through it all, because Thursday I don't have to work. Oh, I almost forgot. Now I want to piss somebody off here. No, let go. They want to see you. Hello, Mr. Jingles. I woke Mr. Jingles up, so now he's going to actually try to end me. All right. Again, thank you for being here. What do I usually say? Yeah. Hug your family. Unless your family is crap, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.